just going to start the recording and see. Are you comfortable where you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Because I do like a pretty tight close-up. And
Sure.
let me make sure that's running. I had to call Lucas back
Oh,
because I had not
you
turned
lost
on
the whole
mic.
recording. Oh no.
So it was him going,
You had to
"Can you-
redo
if
the
you
whole-
close that door just so
Sure.
that- in case people are coming by. It's just sort of an informal chat. I just want to
Sure.
find out what your experiences were,
Mhm.
what your project might have consisted of,
Sure.
things like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's start out by talking about, now you are a pre-med and Hispanic studies
Right. So I'm a
major.
Hispanic studies major and a pre-med student. But pre-med is not a major, so I'm just pursuing a minor actually in biochemistry. Just it kind of fulfills a lot of those requirements anyway. So I kind of came at it from that angle, which was an interesting perspective.
So the project that you actually did in Cadiz
Mhm.
sort of works to pair those two, right?
Right, exactly. So, we took the one credit course in the spring with Professor Aries before we got to Spain. And the point of that was really to just kind of, figure out what we might want our project to be, something that kind of aligned with our interests. So I was kind of thinking of things that could kind of mix the two to kind of provide for, a nice, project to work through that would really just combine both of those interests. So I settled on a project involving obesity. And some students had done it in the past, but the way I was looking at it from was kind of historically what has changed with regard to obesity. And obesity is not really a huge issue throughout Spain as a whole, but it really is when we look at Andalusia specifically in the south, and then even in Cadiz it's even more of an issue. So the paper really focuses on this transition from a Mediterranean diet that's really based on oils and olive oil, a lot of consumption of olive oil, healthy fats, some wine, a really pretty healthy and balanced diet, to kind of this transition to now we're seeing a lot of international influence, a lot of fast foods, a lot of candy shops, and just the whole culture of that, and that progression and the kind of outlook and how that's affecting public health, and some statistics in there really showing that it's an issue public health wise. So
That's very sort of politically savvy of you to say an international
yeah.
influence, when you really mean it's an American.
Yeah, I
United
mean,
States influence.
yeah, you go down to some of the main plazas, you'll see Burger King and McDonald's, and yeah, I mean, it is American influence, sure.
Right. So what do you think was the value of doing an actual research project when you were there?
Sure. So, I mean, everyone took pretty much the same coursework, and of course that was beneficial in kind of sharpening your skills and language and stuff, but really going out there and pursuing something that is unique to you and something that you're actually interested in, you have a vested interest in, maybe it relates to your major, it's something that you actually are passionate about, and going out there and having some support, but really being told, look, this is your project, you're going to make of it what you will, and going out there having to find your own sources, having to do your own research. So it was really helpful that we had two people through the Mundo Lengua program that were willing to help us. Alci and Alejandro, they were both really helpful. And they actually hooked me up with a physician out of the Puerto del Mar, which is the local hospital in Cadiz. And I was actually able to interview him and kind of get his perspective on this whole transition. He had a friend who actually wrote his thesis for medical school on this transition, and he was kind of able to really help provide some background. And even just kind of tangentially related to that, I was able to shadow a physician in Spain and kind of drew from that and helping to write my paper. So just a whole bunch of experiences that come along with the research, kind of going out there, finding your own sources, being responsible for your own project, and then knowing at the end of the day that, your paper was a result of all of that research and all the work you put into it in Spain. It was pretty cool. So.
Wow, I could just have that be my interview. That was absolutely spectacular. I mean, it really speaks volumes for the sort of access that you were able to have,
Sure.
and the sort of experience
Definitely.
that you had there. What would you say was your best experience, your most valuable experience sort of outside of the actual research project?
Sure. So I had approached Professor Aries even before we left for Spain. Like the end of the semester, it was like finals week, and I said, look, I really want to try and shadow a doctor when we're in Spain. I mean, I know it may not be likely that I'll be able to do it. I don't know if anyone has any connections, but like it's something that I'd really like to do. So for weeks and weeks I was waiting. We got to Spain. I didn't think it was going to happen. The program was like 5.5 or so weeks. We got down to like the end of the 4th week, and I was like, nah, it's not going to happen. Whatever, it's okay. I had a good time anyway. But then one of the coordinators, Alcy, came to me and said, look, I have a friend. He's available this afternoon. You have 2 hours. He's going to be waiting for you at this restaurant, and you have an interview. You can go talk to him. He's a radiologist. He specializes in like breast imaging and things. And it was pretty cool. I met with him. We developed a real relationship with one another, good friendship. And the next, I don't know, probably 2 days later, I went to shadow him in the hospital. And I got to you hear and read all about socialized medicine, but I actually got to see it in practice, which was just really unique. I mean, I have some experience in shadowing and things in America, and just being able to contrast that with my experience in Spain, even if just in the hospital for a couple hours one day, was just really pretty fascinating. And, I've been able to, bring that friendship back to the U.S. We're still in touch with one another. He actually visited New York over our fall break, so I got to see the physician when he came to New York. So it was really it was pretty cool. Like, just randomly this relation, this strong friendship kind of comes out out of nowhere, and I get this whole experience in medicine in Spain. So
that's where home is, New York?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, well, New Jersey.
Oh,
I live in the suburbs, so.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, outside of New York, or like in real Jersey?
Where
are you?
About 40 minutes from New York. I live on the Jersey Shore, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that experience that you mentioned, where you don't think it's going to happen, then all of a sudden it's like bang. We experienced that
all the time.
I
mean, other students had the same thing. I remember I had a friend who was working on a project. There were no interviews coming about, and right around the same time, end of that like 4th week, all of a sudden like this fantastic interview that really contributed really nicely to the paper and a lot of her research. So yeah, it was pretty common, but.
Yeah, they don't want to. And actually, Francie found the same thing on her project. She's like, "Don't worry, when you get here, we'll figure it out."
Yeah,
you
it
can't
works
get on
out.
A plane thinking that way if you're from the United States. You're like,
You're terrified that it's
right.
not going to work out. You're not going to have a paper, but then it just winds up working out.
Right. Let's check and see how the audio came out. But I think that this was really.